Let's talk for a moment about the Irish on film and television. There was John Wayne, that most American of American actors, in The Quiet Man. There was whatever the hell that film was that Tom Cruise did. There was Finian's Rainbow, directed by Francis Ford Coppola, with a stereotypical leprechaun seeking a pot of gold and doing the "oh, fritta-ta-ta-ta-ta, I want a fritta-ta-ta-ta-ta" kind of accent. There was Alan Rickman in Michael Collins playing Eamon de Valera, doing a Swedish accent. On television you have the abomination known as Mrs. Brown's Boys, as well as Father Ted and Derry Girls. But what about more grounded portrayals of Ireland? What about more grounded, realistic portrayals of Ireland and Irish matters and Irish history? I'm Dr. James Morver, and in my dreams, I'm being bedded by a sexy Irishman. Welcome to my picture house. This is The Wind That Shakes the Barley, starring a young... Oh, in fact, I best get the price tag off that, you muppet. This is The Wind That Shakes the Barley, starring Cillian Murphy and Liam Cunningham. It's set in the 1920s around the Irish War of Independence and the Irish Civil War that followed, and it features it's telling the story of two brothers, Damien, Cillian Murphy, and Teddy, and it's about like them during these two interlinked conflicts. It's directed by Ken Loach, who is known for his very political, very social dramas. Very left-wing social dramas. Very provocative kind of films. In the 60s he did Cathy Come Home and Up the Junction for television. He also did... He did recently I, Daniel Blake and The Old Oak, one about the welfare system, and the other, I think The Old Oak is about like migration, I think. I've not seen it, but again, it's a heavily political social drama. He also did Kes, a film which, it's got one of the bleakest endings to a film you've probably ever come across. He's killed my bird! He's killed my bird! Shut up, Butter. He's killed my bird! It was the unicorn! The unicorn did it! The unicorn did it! Shut up! Shut up! He's killed my bird! Ken Loach, I think, is perhaps good evidence for why the Tory establishment keeps undermining funding for British film. It's why British film funding is so poor. And I think it's because if we had more Ken Loaches, if we had, say, 5 Ken Loaches, there would be a revolution. The Tory establishment would be dust. The right wing actually hated this film when it was released. They called it anti-British. They were so opposed to its depiction of British soldiers, of what the British did in Ireland. But, according to George Monbiot of The Guardian, the film hadn't even been released before they started complaining it was anti-British. Initially, it was only released in about 30 screens in the UK, but after it won the Palme d'Or at Cannes, it got a wider release. Although I don't think it's that well known still. It's definitely been highly praised. Paul Mescal, the actor, said it handles its subject with grace and dignity, and that if ever he was going to point someone in the direction of an Irish film, he'd point them in this direction. So let's see. I have seen it before, like 10, 15 years ago, but I can't remember much about it. So this will be, I think, an interesting watch. So let's pour ourselves a glass, fire up the projector. Drink! 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 Feck! Worse! Drink! Good point, good point, good point. Drink! For this screening I have, of course, chosen an Irish whiskey. And what could be more appropriate than Ireland's independent spirit, Proclamation Blended Irish Whiskey. Blended, brewed, do you brew whiskey for the 100th anniversary of the proclamation of the Irish Republic in 1916. I bought this last year, just intending to celebrate the completion of my PhD, the passing of my viva. Had a bit of downtime, so I went to Ireland and I bought this on the ferry. I didn't open it after I passed my viva because my viva was not good. I was going to open it when I passed my corrections, when I submitted my corrections and I got my PhD approved. I didn't. Don't know why. So I only opened it the other week when I graduated, and it tastes, it tastes so. It's a very good whiskey. I'll put it that way. It's an excellent whiskey. Why did I go for this one? It just looked interesting, really, and I thought, well, at the time I bought it, I thought that my next project was going to be, Irish cinema. I thought, let's go for something that I can use to celebrate where I've been and where I'm going. But, my next project isn't Irish cinema. That's been pushed down the line a bit, so it's still a very nice whiskey. Shall we fire up the projector? Molto bene. All the leaves are golden brown, and the sky is all grey. I went for Lord North on Macmillan's day. Stopped into a Churchill. In fact, that's not good with Ireland, is it? Because Churchill was one of the men responsible for the Black and Tans and their behaviour. This is a great film, I think. This is a fantastic film, but it's not without its issues. I do agree with Paul Mescal that if you want a fantastic Irish film, go for this one. Yeah, it's certainly a lot better than, you know, whatever that thing that Tom Cruise did was. Or, oh, for ta-ta-ta, look at me pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, for ta-ta-ta-ta-ta, where's me pot of gold? Oh no, my pot of gold's gone, oh, whatever shall I do, I'll disappear. Brooklyn as well, I'd recommend watching Brooklyn, or maybe reading the book of Brooklyn as well, for a good film about Ireland and the Irish experience. The problems I have with The Wind That Shakes the Barley, though, you need the context to understand what is happening in the film. You need the historical context, you need the political context, because the film doesn't give you that. It doesn't explain why all this is happening, it doesn't tell you a lot about, you know, what caused the Irish Civil War, what caused the Irish War of Independence. It's more of a character piece than a plot piece and an exploration of why all this is happening. So with that in mind, I would recommend, and I know it's over-romanticised, and I know Alan Rickman is for some reason doing a Swedish accent, and I know it's not historically accurate as well, but I'd recommend going to watch Michael Collins in a double bill with this, because that will help you to understand the other side of what's going on. That will help you to understand the political, the historical, the context side of things. The other issue I have, it's a very mumbly film. It is a super mumbly film. I ended up putting the subtitles on because the dialogue was so difficult to hear in places. It was difficult to hear what they were saying, what was going on. And I found that just putting the subtitles on just helped. It helped a lot. Still, I really enjoyed the film. It was a great experience, and yeah, it's depressing as hell. What do you expect? It's Ken Loach. But go see this film. Oh, the anti-British thing as well. If you're calling this film anti-British, you do really need to open up that history book and just, well, go look at the context of this film and you will see that this is not lying about what happened. Yeah, the story itself is fictional, but it's based on real events, and this is what the British actually did. And I have no idea where I read it. I tried to find it again, but I couldn't. But I read that actually the bad stuff the British did in Ireland in the 1920s was official government policy. And it's not a nice thing to admit this, but British history is not some glorious, happy, we're the good guys kind of thing. Because quite often the British weren't the good guys. The British were the baddies. And this film is only showing that. And it's something that we as British people have to come to terms with. And I was going to talk about a Muppet version of this film, where Elmo gets his fingernails pulled out. Kermit plays Cillian Murphy. It was going to get super dark because all the British would be played by humans and all the Irish by Muppets. It would be horrible to watch, but also amazing at the same time. But no, I'm not going to talk about that. I'll see you next time.